Hiya folks, Marty Macaulay again with another Irish whiskey review over here on the Northampton coast. Bit dark outside, beautiful full moon. I'm led to believe it's the beaver moon, and who doesn't like to be under a beaver at any given point in time? So yeah, it's the beaver moon, and apparently this happens in November around this time or whatever. Anyway, there's all these phases of the moon, and people talk about lunacy, and it comes from the word lunar. It's the same thing. And when it's a full moon, people go a little bit nutty. And I have a friend who genuinely swears that this is true. She says every time she works in a hospital, and every time there's a full moon, people go crazy. I'm only going with what she says, and she's not the sort of person to tell any lies, but she swears by it. You never know what this review is going to be like. Now, recently, if you watch the show and stuff, you'll know that Justin and myself went, albeit separately, we found ourselves in Londinium, over in London, for various things. Went and caught shows, we did a whole pile of stuff. It was really cool. Justin bought me lunch away up at the top of a 41 stories up. The Duck and Waffle, it was called. It was really quite nice. Love eating sort of weird things and trying new things. So I had steak tartare, which is raw steak with an egg on it. Sounds a bit odd, but it's really nice. I had pig's ears, which were shredded up. There was too many of them, so Justin ate well over half of mine, and they were done almost like chips or crisps or whatever, dusted, and they were dead nice. But one of the places we went to was to Berry Brothers and Rudd, which is very, very close to St James's Palace. It says on here number 3 St James's Street. It's actually the place you buy this at is round the corner on Pall Mall. So if you try and go in there, they're quite nice about it. You just say, oh, you have to just go around the corner. So go around the corner. And what you get is this. This is their Irish stuff. They sell some Irish whiskies, not a huge selection. Lots of scotches, but their main business is wine, and they've either built or are in the process of building a warehouse that will store 15 million bottles of wine. And this isn't your cheap, your £6 bottle of Blanc out the supermarket. This is all high-end stuff, but it must be amazing to see. Now, this is a 10-year-old, and when I was there, I asked the guy who was serving, and they quite obviously don't sell an awful lot of Irish whiskey. It's certainly not the forte of the guys behind the counter, because when I asked him where it was from, he says, oh, I'm not sure, which, well, it's not great for an independent bottler, but as soon as I looked at the label here, the front of it, I knew straight away, because it says notes of fresh apples and vanilla spice. And where can that be? 10-year-old can really only be Killy. Has to be, because that's kind of the signature of Killy. So, of course, I was correct. Aren't I great? No. No, literally, it's dead easy. Just that's Killy's signature. So, yeah. So I picked it up. Now, to give you a little bit of background on Berry Brothers, they've been on the go since 1698. And they carry 2 royal warrants. Now, if you're not familiar with what a royal warrant is, basically it means that the palace or senior members of the royal family are prepared to say that they buy your product. And it means you become a member of the Royal Warrant Society, which means you can sell your goods. You make very good contacts with the likes of Fortnum and Mason and Harrods, and if you have a royal warrant, then you could sell in Berry Brothers and Rudd. And where it's located is just behind St James's Palace. So if Prince Charles is needing a wee carry out, he wants a few bevies of an evening, over he whips and picks them up and heads back. Say Meghan has been on the TV again and he's going, oh my god, what she said now. He nips across, picks up a wee bottle, back, and has a few half ones just to to console himself from whatever PR disaster she's going up with next. Anyway, so these guys know what they're doing. Independent bottlers are a fascinating area. If you haven't put any experience with these guys, do pick them up, because it's a bit like me doing this to YouTube or going in a publication. I write a column for the local press, Sunday Life, and for that has to be verified. There's someone overseeing the process. Now, independent bottlers, you kind of need to have the confidence that you trust those guys to know what they are doing, that they are going to put out something that is worthy of them putting their name on it, if you like. Now, there are lots of people who just make up a brand and are quite happy. I know this is happening quite a lot in the States with Irish whiskey. What you're getting is people buy some Irish whiskey stock, stick a leprechaun on the front of it, and lo and behold, up pops Jimmy McSweeney's whiskey, fine old Irish whiskey, blah 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 blah. It's a blend of, up it pops. Well, there's no real confidence that you're going to have in that. But if you have someone like Berry Brothers and Rudd, or the Cadenheads, or one of these guys who have been in the business a long time, who you've built up a huge reputation and trust, they source their product and they think, we like this, that's what we'll take, we'll buy that, we don't want that, we don't want that, we don't want that, we don't want that, we'll take that. Well, they know what they're talking about. You don't stay in business for 300 years unless you know what you're doing. I've put this in a little mini Glencairn glass because my dad got me this the other day, and it really was the first one at hand, so I just picked it up. So, apple nose, very fresh, really quite inoffensive, not bags and bags and bags to the nose. So light, fresh, apples, pears, possibly a little bit of citrus there. That's about it. There's not much more. Little bit of oak. A little bit of oak on it. Does it say in this? Doug McIver, the range is designed to showcase the balance, complexity and character of the world's most famous whiskey styles. Doesn't say on it what it's finished in. I'm just going to say it's bourbon cask finished. I'm going to say it's bourbon cask finished because I don't think there's anything else there. I think if there's anything else there, they would tell you and it would come across. Cooley really, really takes the cask. That's why there's so many Cooley spirits out there under other people, third party, third license, because it does take the cask really well. Just apple, say a little bit of oak, a little bit of green coming off the oak actually. Well, the first thing you notice when you take this on is when it's in the mouth, it's, again, doesn't have bags of flavour, but it's got a lovely mouthfeel. Really nice, oily, pleasant on the mouth. But as soon as you swallow that, bang, that's where the flavour comes in. And it comes in really quite strong, really quite quick. It's delivering milk chocolate notes. There's a slap of like lime zest comes in quite briefly. It goes boom boom in and out, but it's definitely there, and it kind of lifts up, hits you, then moves on. And it's on the palate, not huge amounts of flavour, but very pleasant to drink. I think these days everybody talks about flavour and complexity and flavours in that, and rightly so. But they don't all have to be like that. You can just have a drink that's very pleasant to drink, just well balanced, good quality, nice mouthfeel. You can drink away at it without ever having to think about it. And that's what this is doing. This is not for connoisseurs to sit around and debate about multi-layers of flavour. This is exactly what it says it's going to do. Fresh, clean, everyday drinker. Probably more of a summery whiskey than a winter. If it's a cold day out, this wouldn't really hit it for me. This could probably take an ice cube. It's at 44.2. This could probably take an ice cube in it quite well, I would think. Wouldn't necessarily be something I would do, but yeah. This is all about the finish, which is really, really good actually. Chocolate, bit of vanilla coming in, that lime zest that just bounces in and out really, really quickly, but it's definitely there. That quite zesty wee note that hits in. This is exactly what it sets out to be. A everyday drinker, full of quality, well selected, well chosen, and at a reasonable price. This is 10-year-old single malt Irish whiskey at 44.2%. £45 a bottle, out of a place that has a 300-year reputation to uphold. And these days, buying a 10-year-old Irish whiskey that isn't from an established distiller is a bit of a minefield, because Irish whiskey prices are going crazy. People who are sourcing their spirits have told me that in the last couple of years they've quadrupled in price. I was talking to a guy 2 weeks ago who explained to me that to buy 8-year-old single malt, now you buy it in what's called LPA, litres of pure alcohol, and the guy who was selling this to him offered him some 8-year-old single malt and wanted €120 an LPA. Now if you think about that, you put that down to the 40%, you take it down to 40% if you're bottling at that and put it in a bottle. You're talking bare minimum, without making any profit on it, if you were selling that at cost, you would be selling it at £60-70 a bottle. Once you've had on all the tax and bottling and all that, there's no profit in it. So to buy a 10-year-old of good quality with a very, very pleasant taste to it for £45 at the minute is really quite reasonable, and you're getting a stamp of quality from Berry Brothers in Rudd. Well worth checking out. I have to give it a mark. At the price point, it's 45 quid. It's certainly well worth buying. It's not bags of flavour, but it is well crafted. I'll give it a good. I'll actually give it a little bit better than a mark than I was thinking, because you're buying authentic heritage, not the made up stuff that just drops out of the sky. Yeah, you're buying that. So I like that. I can buy into it. You can buy this drink and sit for 2 hours reading about the history of Berry Brothers. So yeah, we'll get an extra half point for that. I'll give them 7 out of 10. And I can do that because it's an arbitrary figure, and if you ask me tomorrow it'll probably change, but it's an indication of just how much I think of this. Yeah, and it's well worth just paying a visit to somewhere like that. So anyway, check out Justin and myself on the Irish Whiskey Review Show. Do please hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything. And if you like the review, copy it and share it about, and hopefully other people will pick up on it too, and they can have a look at it. Guys, take care of yourselves, and I'm going to go off and have a look at a beaver. Oh sorry, the beaver moon. Don't be thinking bad things.